Hello, welcome back here today. It's the F1 Manager Sim League once again, and it's round 20 of the season coming up in a moment for you lot. Just give me 2 seconds and we will be underway. Okay, so here's your starting grid here today. It's Lando Norris lining up on pole with Carlos Sainz in P2. George Russell starts quite strong. Well, George Russell in 4th with Leclerc 3rd. Teo Porcher in 5th, Valtteri Bottas 6th with Oscar Piastri 7th, Tsunoda 8th, Behrman 9th with Alonso in 10th. Andrea Kimi Antonelli comes home in 11th with Lawson 12th. Daniel Ricciardo, your answer for you Louis, is 13th with Franco Colapinto 14th and Alex Albon in 15th. Isaac Hadjar lines up 16th with Hamilton 17th, Perez 18th, Verstappen 19th and Pierre Gasly in 20th. Let's get into it.
Welcome back everyone. The final preparations are now being made as we head into the race. As we get to this race, our focus shifts to Valtteri Bottas.
Starting 6th gives them a great chance today. The choice is, do they protect what they've got or push for more?
Oops, just dropped my control.
Let's go racing.
Anyways,
we're all
let's
ready
get
to go
into
in
this
Las
race here.
Vegas.
As they line up on the grid for the Las Vegas GP,
and away we go.
And that's new. That is new indeed. For those who can't see that, the safety car starting this race and has actually lined up ahead of my two drivers. But anyways, we are going Lando Norris versus Carlos Sainz up into turn 1 and Sainz to the inside as the Williams will take the lead for the first ever time this season now. The Williams has not led a race before and they are leading down into turn 3. Is Sainz going to hang on though? Yes he will, as Charles Leclerc fights Lando Norris over P2 as Sainz has had a wonder of a start. The Williams pulling away. Indeed, Burnt Mylanda wants to race. But anyways, will Carlos Sainz be able to cope with the pressure from Charles Leclerc? The Red Bull now catching the Williams. To the inside he lines up. You can see there's the two V-carbs dueling as Leclerc takes the lead at the end of lap 1. Well, it's a start for Williams, being first time leading a race, and there goes Sainz. He's going to try and go back at it into turn 1, but decides otherwise as DRS is now enabled. This is when the race really sets alight here. As you can see, there's the two championship rivals, Norris and Russell, dueling over P3 in this race. Lando Norris started pole and Norris started 4th. However, after the first lap, they are fighting over the final podium place as Charles Leclerc continues his duel with Carlos Sainz for P1. As Leclerc should now be getting some DRS here. And yeah, Leclerc now heading up into turn 1. He's going to try and overtake Sainz. But it's just like lap 1, they were unable to get move done as Russell set the fastest lap of the race. George Russell in P3 with Lando Norris P4. This is great regarding how Ferrari had a double DNF last time out, really damaging the Brits' championship hopes in that Ferrari. But that's just unfortunate for Ferrari more than anything. As Oliver Behrman's had a great start. If you haven't noticed yet, he's in P7. His best finish this season, if I'm right, is P9. and he's currently lining up to beat that here today. As you can see, Tsunoda trying to overtake, as you have Norris and Piastri wheel to wheel. Piastri will gain P4 from Lando Norris. The V-Cubs working their way backwards now, as there's Piastri even having a go on George Russell round the outside in turn 1. Is it going to be a done deal? Yes, yes it will. Oscar Piastri into P3. As you can see, Carlos Sainz alongside Charles Leclerc, as the Williams picks up the lead now in this race. As it's Williams to Red Bull, then V-Carb, Ferrari, V-Carb in the top 7 by the race. Nice. I'll be back. I'm back. My sister being a pain in the backside as always, as Sainz promotes himself into the lead of this race. As will Charles Leclerc be able to re-promote himself to the lead? Yes, yes he will in turn 1. As if you haven't noticed, Sainz is on the hardest compound of tyres available. I was literally doing commentary in my head while you were gone. Good to know. But yeah, it's currently Carlos Sainz who leads to Leclerc, then Porsche, then Norris, with Oscar Piastri in P5. The championship fight still running between Russell and Norris, as it's really not been their weekend, as Williams has stolen the spotlight with Sainz starting on front row and currently coping quite well in the fight for a lead. Me saying that he's down into P3, as Porsche has just executed a move for P2 in style. As now, can Charles Leclerc defend from the RB? Red Bull versus sugar-free Red Bull, as Angry Ginger would call it, and clearly the sugar-free one wins, as Porsche promotes himself into the lead. Third different car to lead this race now, as Sainz is starting to work his way backwards a bit in this race. He started easily being quickest car out on track. He's now down in P3 and has almost dropped out of DRS range of these two up front, as Charles Leclerc goes down the inside and manages to promote himself back up into the race lead, as Sainz just trying to desperately hang on in this race with Porsche down the inside. Wonderful move. Up into the lead goes the V-Carb, as Porsche defending Charles Leclerc now. Porsche been in form of his life recently, and he's just proving it even further here today, as he leads in this race as Russell has just overtaken his championship rival of Lando Norris, as that is the Brit. Now P4, can he hunt down to get that final podium position? If so, it could be a good statement made. But there's Norris to the inside. Is he going to get the move done? It's usually done, but this time it isn't, as Norris really has got a poor exit. Oscar Piastri has now cleared him with a fight unravelling. Bottas into the pits in this race already. Here's some tyre wear info. I'd say pit window opens around now until about lap 15 for the soft compound runners. The mediums maybe about lap 20. Hards probably lap 25ish. But yeah, while that's all happening, we have got George Russell trying to work his way onto the podium in this race. Norris is down in P6. Can he work his way back up into the top 5? Yes he can, as the Red Bull DRS with Norris to the outside, and he's made the move. Lando Norris into P5 in this race, as Carlos Sainz has moved himself up into the top 2, as it's really proving to be a fight over track position between the Williams V-Carb Red Bull, as Sainz has now taken the lead of this race once again. Can the Williams continue this momentum, because it's been really strong so far, and at this rate could see one of them, maybe Sainz, grab a win in a shocking result. As now Porsche DRS on the Spaniard. Can the Frenchman take the lead? Yes he can, as it's Terry Porsche up into P1, as Charles Leclerc enters the pits here. So does Liam Lawson. So could we see some changes up and down the field, with some earlier stops coming into play, some strategy being utilised for the teams slightly out of the frame, such as Sauber, McLaren and the Hasses, who have all pitted early, and then Leclerc possibly trying to build up a lead through an undercut, as currently we have Terry Porsche lining up another move on Carlos Sainz for a lead. It's just going back and forth like a yo-yo at the moment, as Porsche to the inside, and it's the lead, pretty safe and sound now. Can Porsche pull away? Here's the question, as Oscar Piastri limbers down into the pits now, as Red Bull really trying to trigger the undercut here, see if they can find any ground out of their rivals, as Piastri is probably going to come out behind Liam Lawson in this race. As he doesn't, he's only came out behind Gasly, so it's not been too shambolic. But one talking point to look at is Max Verstappen. He's had a better race than Hamilton so far this season. Hamilton has got the better of him, most podiums in the team, so on and so forth. But here, Hamilton's really struggling, and Verstappen's just smooth sailing and working his way up through the field now. As Leclerc may be on Sergio Perez, no, not yet. But who has made a move is Oscar Piastri on Pierre Gasly and Albon this lap. And even Max Verstappen, as Piastri goes for a move now on Charles Leclerc. He's really making it look easy. He's dicing his way through the field. Can he even get Sergio Perez now? Yes he will. Perez will then defend Leclerc, who will eventually get past on the hard compounded tyres. So Leclerc's planning to go long. Oscar's planning to do another short stint. So yeah. But yeah, anyways, it's a lap 14. You can have a bit of look at deltas. Currently Oscar Piastri setting fastest lap of the race. Let's see if he will get it come the line though. He's crossed the line, and yes it is fastest lap, as Russell has triggered the pit stop. Sainz promotes himself back into the lead Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Fastest lap in the Haas. He went through Brazil, scoring his first point of the season, now leaving Isaac Hadjar as the only driver not to so far. Will Antonelli be able to continue this momentum into next season if he does keep another drive? That's the question. I'd say he may. He's really showing he's got pace and potential, but he's just not been able to as Lando Norris chooses to pit now. Where will he come out? Compared to George Russell, who is his championship rival, it's the soft going on to the V-carb from the mediums. At the pits he goes, and there's George Russell. They are fighting over track position, but Russell will take the lead over the two. Liam Lawson also not far behind at all. However, the Red Bulls, clear as day, going to be leading in the favour of Oscar Piastri here, who has not won a race yet this season. He's got pole position, but he hasn't won yet. And that really helps out a lot in the longevity of this championship. As now Norris trying to get past George Russell here, wasn't able to down that long straight due to the little DRS train we've got. As now Russell passes Alonso, so will Lando Norris. Quite easy done. As Daniel Ricciardo has just got fastest lap of the race. He's in P15 at the moment in the Alpine. He's got quite a few places to work his way back up. Never mind, he's P13, double move on Behrman and Tsunoda into turn 3. So yeah, that's Ricciardo up into P13. He is really showing some pace in that Alpine. As now, Ferrari, big dilemma. How do they want to do it? Because Perez has held up Russell, Norris has overtaken Russell and then overtaken Perez, and then Russell finally gets the place off Perez. They've executed that very poorly, and now Perez is into the pits. Charles Leclerc, mechanical fault. 20 minutes until F1 25. I'm not guessing it till Friday because I got standard edition. So yeah. But Valtteri Bottas, mechanical fault. He's getting closer and closer to a DNF now, as this is really the part of season where Antonelli is starting to shine out past his teammate. But yeah, Lando Norris versus George Russell, two title rivals. What will they do? Currently Porsche and Sainz have not pitted yet. They are now both into the pits. How are they going to come out on track, and what tyres are they going to chuck on is the big question. Teo Porsche onto softs, Carlos Sainz onto, I think that's the softs, yeah. So they're going to be flying their way through the field as Antonelli is car ahead, and he's looking quite close to another stop indeed. As let's tune in with him over the course of this race, as there are the two Red Bulls dueling over the lead. Piastri versus Leclerc. We saw it in Australia briefly. We saw it in Japan quite briefly as well. As Red Bull really seem to have found their mojo again. They're fighting back for wins on a regular basis, as they've swapped places, and so have the championship rivals. But the rivals are going to keep fighting, as Norris will fend off George Russell for the time being. And now it's Leclerc versus Piastri. Piastri, DRS on his teammate, to the outside he goes, and surely that's Piastri into the lead. Yes, yes it is. As, however, George Russell getting a move done into the chicane on Norris. Norris trying to hang it round the outside there. And now we just wait for the next DRS zone. When will Norris get the clearance of George Russell? He's going to go to the inside. You can see in background Teo Porsche, who only pit about 2 laps ago. He is getting fairly big in Lawson's rear view mirrors, as he's planning to make a move for P5 on a car who's only scored about 10 points all season. They could really start putting a threat on to the Mercedes come the season finale if they keep driving in this manner. Really going there for a point, as there's Russell overtaking Norris, as Piastri and Leclerc both with a mechanical fault in this race. They're both starting to struggle a bit, as we can see the two Red Bulls heading up into the final chicane of the lap. We are rapidly approaching the halfway stage in this race. It's a lap 21 of 50 for those who have just joined. As Oscar Piastri to the inside, Charles Leclerc defending very well, as Théo Pourchaire fastest a lap of the race for the V-Carb, who has now joined Lando Norris in this fight over P3 with George Russell. Who's going to come out ahead though? Is Pourchaire going to step up and go, I'll be the lead driver today, Lando? Or is Lando going to step up and go, this is my title, I need to beat you? As Pourchaire really isn't in this title fight. He's caught up with Perez and could very much pull away in this race if it goes his way. As Norris to the inside of George Russell into the chicane. There you go. George Russell leads the two though, as now Pourchaire overtakes Lando Norris here. Lando Norris in the mud by Pourchaire, as there's Sainz down the inside, and he's overtaken Liam Lawson in the McLaren, who, if he is to finish there, will be doubling his points tally of the whole season. But I don't think that will last long, as there's Oliver Behrman just lurking in the background. I'm hoping for Ollie to step up and plate and keep our top 10. Yeah, it's still looking good. He started in 9th, Alonso started 10th, if I'm right. Behrman's been in points since lap 1. Alonso hasn't as such, as it's quite clear the Aston Martin in P13 is struggling a lot more. As it's the two Red Bulls swapping places. They've actually dropped down to earth a bit, because the two V-Carbs and Ferrari have now caught up. Norris, however, dropping off from the group and letting Sainz lurk in, as there's George Russell trying to get a move done on Charles Leclerc. There been any pit stops? There's been a pit stop for everyone. Daniel, please stay in point, says Louis. He's got Yuki Tsunoda for company, with Perez and Verstappen and Alonso just over 2 seconds back. Yuki Tsunoda, however, the car ahead, so there's a chance Ricciardo could make it P9 in this race. As now, when will Piastri gain the place? Not gain the place, lose the place. Could it be now? Leclerc DRS to the inside goes his teammate, and it's up into the lead for the Red Bull. As it's currently quite nice looking Red Bull, Ferrari, V-Carb in this race, with Carlos Sainz just lurking in the background. That Williams has surprisingly been very competitive this race. I don't know why, but at the start of season it was very tight between teams. Then it got very open-ended, and now it's getting quite tight again between the championship rivals. Well, just up and down the field really. As into the pits goes Oscar Piastri. He's planning to trigger another undercut in this race. See whether or not he could go to the ends. If he's on the hards, he's out on the hards, and he's going to come alongside Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. He's behind them both. He's got to do some overtaking now. Daniel Ricciardo has to fend off on Piastri, whilst Verstappen and Perez, both the car behind Piastri, so at the moment Ricciardo and Yuki have a chance to run away if Piastri holds up the Sauber and Ferrari behind him. Because it's rather clear that they will be the quicker car, but at the moment they aren't really showing it. More than anything, they're getting stuck in the traffic as Ricciardo tried to overtake Tsunoda there, while Perez overtakes Verstappen for P11, as this is going to be Perez's last few races in the sport. He's confirmed it, that he will be retiring at the end of the season in this career league thing. So we're confirming at least one new name to step onto the grid in the next season. As now, it's going to be Ricciardo who's ahead of Yuki, but Yuki's defending, and Piastri down the inside of them both, and he's gained 2 places in probably the tightest chicane on the calendar, if not second tightest to Baku's castle section. But Piastri, balls of steel, as he's made it 2 moves in them final 2 corners, and now Ricciardo loses place on Max Verstappen, but he's going to try and fight back, hang on into turn 10, but Verstappen will get the place and up into P10, Daniel Ricciardo down to P11, but Sergio Perez is saying he wants some of it. He wants to promote himself past Ricciardo, but Ricciardo staying as close to Verstappen as possible to try and mount a move into the final corner now, as Carlos Sainz has regained the lead in this race. It's all going full circle at the moment, as Ricciardo hangs on against Perez, as now Ollie Behrman into the pits, so is Max Verstappen. Let's see whether or not it helps their races, as Behrman's onto a set of hards. Verstappen also chucking a set of hards on, planning to go to the end on the tyres they're on, as there's, as you see, Antonelli overtaking Alonso with DRS assistance. Easy move, as with Ricciardo. What we've missed is he's overtaken Yuki Tsunoda, he's up into P8, and he's starting to catch Oscar Piastri in P7, who is looking quite comfortable in this bid for the win here in Las Vegas, as Carlos Sainz regains the lead in this race. But there goes George Russell into the lead, Charles Leclerc into the pits. Where does Oscar Piastri come out compared to him? He's going to be at least 7-8 seconds clear. As let's go to this just to showcase. It says 9 seconds between the two, and Leclerc's got a lot of traffic to navigate, such as this kerfuffle. Alonso overtakes Antonelli as Perez overtakes Tsunoda here. There's 4 cars in the middle of a very big fight with Daniel Ricciardo just up in view. You could just see for a split second Charles Leclerc in the background, as Piastri has just overtaken Liam Lawson here, whilst the Williams and Ferrari continue to fight over this race lead. I don't know why, but I feel like there's a crash brewing soon, as the Liam Lawson now enters the pits. He's like, the time is right. He could pit now and maybe chime himself into the fight for the lead if he's quick enough, as this McLaren has really proven his worth. Could it be enough to make an informed decision that McLaren keep him? Or are they going to sell him off at the end of the season and say, you know what, we don't want you anymore? As now it's Liam Lawson. Is it his time to shine? He's got 3 seconds to Oliver Behrman. Max Verstappen right on his tail, who's also on fresh tyres, but they are older than the McLarens. However, it's great placement for Sauber, as into the pits, well, out of the pits goes Norris and Russell. Russell ahead of Alonso, Norris behind Alonso, but they're both ahead of Charles Leclerc, who has just overtaken Antonelli, who is at the very back of this pack. As Antonelli tries to fight back, Perez now mechanical fault. Charles Leclerc around the outside on the end of that chicane, and it's Charles Leclerc up into P9, and he's quickly made doing in the left, right, or right, left, whatever it is. I don't know my lefts and rights anymore, but it's Leclerc up into P8. That's what I know for a fact. As now you see Daniel Ricciardo dropping to P5. He's yet to pit, however, as Russell promotes himself into 4th, and now he can hunt Piastri. Where does Théo Pourchaire come out in respect to his teammate? He's going to come out ahead as they go wheel to wheel. Almost crashed. Does Bottas have damage? No, it's a mechanical fault, and it will be the Haas's race in the bin. It was George Russell last race. It's Valtteri Bottas this race, as it is the end of Valtteri Bottas' Las Vegas GP, 33 laps in. As Hamilton is so far back, he's only just started his 33rd lap here. Hadjar is already going through turn 7, just showing how far off Hamilton's race has been here in Vegas. And it just shows how he's been struggling this weekend as a whole. He hasn't really been on the pace, but irrespective of that, he is arguably still the #1 driver at Sauber Institute. As there's Ricciardo fending off Théo Pourchaire and Charles Leclerc, but Pourchaire getting quite annoyed, to say the least, behind the Alpine. Théo Pourchaire ends up losing place to Charles Leclerc instead of getting past Daniel Ricciardo, and Leclerc has now got past Daniel Ricciardo, as this race has really split up quite a fair bit. Hadjar better than Hamilton. I don't know about that, as Carlos Sainz from the lead into the pits. 15 laps left in this race. It's a set of mediums going on for the Williams. Fernando Alonso limbering down the pit lane, as well as Behrman is now back into the points in this race. Oliver Behrman could score points for Aston Martin. As you can see, Sainz is ahead of Charles Leclerc and Pourchaire, which is good placement for the Williams. And now he's got 12 seconds to try and catch Oscar Piastri and Russell and Norris, who are all on hards. So hopefully his pace is there. If it is, game on. If it isn't, then yeah, touche. But it does look very much done for the fight over the lead. Oscar Piastri, 8 seconds advantage, 15 laps to go now, as Norris and Russell duel over the final 2 podium places as things stand. However, is it going to be that for long, as Russell to the inside of Lando Norris? Surely Russell gets it, but no, Lando Norris fends off in style Oscar Piastri and Leclerc. More severe of a mechanical fault, as Gasly and Colapinto in the pits. They're still coming out about a good 20 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, just showing he hasn't been in it at all this race weekend. As Russell to the inside, Norris fends off quite well as he stands strong in P2. However, one thing to point out is Norris just set fastest lap. He's just done a lap, if I'm right, 3 seconds quicker. Yeah, 3.5 seconds quicker than Oscar Piastri. And Carlos Sainz has only lost about half a second that time round. So we could see a big finale on our way, as Norris is flying. The gap's now 2.5 seconds. George Russell still tucked up quite nicely behind. And Sainz, safe to say, he is also catching, while Leclerc maybe not as much. As now Russell to the inside, he's going to get a move done on Lando Norris, but Lando Norris sticks to the wider line and gets the move done to defend for P2, as the gap is 2.5 seconds now between Piastri and Lando Norris. It's now 2 seconds between them. That's just how much stronger they are as they go dueling through into the chicane in the middle sector, as Lando Norris is still leading around this circuit. As if they get the right exit here, they've got DRS, which I believe Lando Norris has. Yeah, they've both got DRS. Norris to the inside now, and George Russell also to the inside. of Oscar Piastri. That is the move done. Piastri really out of it now. He's already dropped out of a second from him. Could Carlos Sainz now try and promote himself onto a podium position? If so, that could be the story of the weekend. As irrespective of that, it's Lando Norris leading to George Russell, then Oscar Piastri, with Carlos Sainz in P4. But at the moment, Sainz isn't catching enough to catch Norris and Russell, but he is catching enough to pile it on to Oscar Piastri, as there's George Russell down the inside. Into the lead of this race goes the Ferrari. Oh, as Terra Porsche fastest lap of the race, Carlos Sainz, you can see he's about to creep within a second of the Red Bull in P3. However, will he get it? Is the question. I want to say no. Not yet, at least. But he's all over the back of him now. He's surely going to get some DRS within a tenth of him. He's gonna be alongside by the time he had it for a brief moment. But he's unable to pass there. Piastri dropping further back from leaders. Sainz dropping further back. Sainz is going to go to the inside. He can't make the move there. He's going to send it into turn 1. And it's the Spaniard onto the podium. 10 laps to go. But Teo Pourchaire is in range now. As Teo Pourchaire hoping to make quicker moves than what the Williams could have done. As Daniel Ricciardo, fastest a lap, but down in P13. He's got a good distance to gain if he wants to compete for points here. As you can have a look at tyre life left, Lando Norris mechanical fault. As Pourchaire DRS now on Oscar Piastri. But Piastri is in a place where he could line up a move on Carlos Sainz. He ain't losing that much to the Williams. I think the Williams is just driving for podium now, more than anything. Whilst the two title rivals go and duke it out for the race win here. As Pourchaire to the inside now, it's Hamilton getting lapped by him. Just to point a bit more out, Hadjar isn't lapped yet. Hamilton is a second, no, not a second, a minute off Isaac Hadjar, who is fighting over 16th with Colapinto and Gasly at the moment. Really showing how he's not enjoying that Sauber hit in Las Vegas tonight. But Teo Pourchaire, he's lost 5 seconds to Sainz now. Piastri is defending for his life. And now Pourchaire to the inside. Surely it's the move done now. And yes, it is. Pourchaire up into P4. And now it's Charles Leclerc to start catching his teammate. While Lewis Hamilton just being dragged along in DRS range. Showing even though Hamilton is probably slowest car out on track at the moment, he is matching some of the leaders' pace. Or at least Oscar Piastri's. George Russell, DRS on Norris, up into the lead here. It's currently advantage to Russell. However, it's going to be swapping around over these next few laps. Norris to the inside, and he will take the lead once again into turn 1. As there's a yellow flag out on track, I can't tell where, but it's called crash involving multiple cars. Let's have a look. It's Sergio Perez, and I believe that's Valtteri Bottas, as they make a bit of contact. They make a bit of contact as Perez now pits in this race. As one thing we could filter in is Carlos Sainz is starting to catch the leaders. How much pace does that Williams have? It was Perez Antonelli. No penalties are being awarded as a result. As George Russell to the inside, DRS. Recipe for an overtake, ain't it? And he has got it done, as they are starting to pull away once again from Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris going to try and send it back into turn 1. Isn't able to this lap, unlike he was last time round. But let's get away from him for a bit. Liam Lawson into the pits, 5 laps from the end. And now that gives Ricciardo a chance to get points. Ricciardo only 3 tenths off Alonso, who's P10. And about 2 seconds ahead is P7, who is Yuki Tsunoda. Currently, never mind, it's Behrman now, as Yuki and Behrman fight over the place. Like it's the only thing that matters in their worlds right now. Even though there's Max Verstappen behind, Ricciardo has just promoted himself into the top 10 here. Will he make it last though? Yuki Tsunoda, DRS, now on Oliver Behrman. He goes to the inside. As said before, it's a recipe for an overtake. And it's been baked to perfection. Yuki Tsunoda up into P7. Behrman into P8 as Ricciardo's up to P9. Alonso fighting Verstappen for P10 now, as Hamilton has got a more severe mechanical fault. You can see the fight going on in the background while he limps around the circuit here. But by the end of this lap, they should catch. As it honestly is disappointing for this Sauber, 7-time world champion. His car is no longer working, to say the least. He is out of this race. As you can just see in the background, there's Yuki to try and overtake Behrman, as Alonso's moved himself up 2 places. As the fight continues, into the pits goes Lewis Hamilton. We will tune in with that fight in a very moment. But that is Hamilton's race done here in Las Vegas. But anyways, fight over P7. Behrman, Alonso, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Verstappen. It is 5 different constructors fighting for 7th down to 11th. As there is a yellow flag out on track, it is Franco Colapinto who has had a look up into turn 4. Let's have a look at this. Is the man in P15, Sergio Perez, just behind. He looks up, gets his braking all mucked up, and he's off the road, which is disappointing for the Argentine. As now Behrman, DRS on Alonso to the inside of his teammate. However, his teammate being able to defend better. As Ricciardo's got past Behrman. Now can Ricciardo move himself up into P7 maybe? As that would truly be storyline of race now. Sainz led quite a lot of this race, but now it's been passed on to Norris and Russell. Porsche's even knocked him off the podium as we speak, but Sainz is trying to fight back. As we will give this a final straight. Behrman versus Antonelli versus Tsunoda and Verstappen for P9 down here. While it's Ricciardo versus Alonso, they don't make a move. Behrman to the inside of Antonelli. Antonelli fends off quite well. As final 2 laps of this race now. But for the leaders, it's 1.5 laps to go. Who is going to reach the finish line first? George Russell or Lando Norris? It's like who's going to win the title. It's going until the very end as Russell overtakes Norris. But Norris gets DRS to the inside, and it will be the lead once again for the V-Carb. Brit versus Brit, V-Carb versus Ferrari. It's been a season-long rivalry. As its final lap, George Russell leads onto it. He fends off Lando Norris. As he's going to put the foot down. Is he going to let Norris back past? Norris tries going for a move into turn 4. Russell defends very well as fastest a lap has just gone to Liam Lawson, who could promote himself back up into the points here, as he's chimed in with the fight over 7th with Alonso, Ricciardo, Antonelli, Verstappen, Lawson, Behrman and Tsunoda in. But it's the final chance for Norris to take the win here in Vegas. He's gaining on Russell. He's not going to go to the inside. He was too far back. But it's a drag race to the line. Lando Norris ahead. And Norris wins in Vegas by literally 2/3 of a tenth here. What a race to the line. As you can see here, Antonelli overtaking Alonso into that final corner. Alonso fending off Ricciardo. So it will be Antonelli P7. Alonso 8th, Ricciardo 9th, Verstappen 10th and Lawson just missing out on the points here in P11. Behrman 12th, Tsunoda 13th, Albon 14th, Perez runs out of fuel here but hits the line in 15th. Gasly, Colapinto, then Isaac Hadjar will be last of finishers. He wasn't the slowest man out there today, however, but he did come last.
Sometimes I think.
So yeah, here are your race results. Lando Norris takes home the win here, but only 0.06 of a second behind George Russell, with Théo Pourchaire 3rd, Carlos Sainz 4th, Charles Leclerc in 5th, 6th is Piastri, 7th Antonelli, 8th Alonso, 9th Ricciardo, 10th Verstappen, 11th Liam Lawson, 12th Oliver Behrman, 13th Tsunoda, 14th Albon, 15th Perez, 16th Gasly, 17th Colapinto, 18th Hadjar, then Hamilton and Bottas both failing to finish, with Liam Lawson fastest lap of the race. But for those who enjoyed this race, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.